Hey there, BookTube. This is Noah. Welcome to a little more of my bookshelves here. So I'm just gonna stay on my knees for this one. Hopefully everything is copacetic. I can't believe who. I think it's totally pretentious. Is that no? Or it's book wanting. Did he say his word for the year is copacetic? So. I hope this is copacetic for you guys, and I'm just gonna go through the rest of this bookshelf that sits out in my living room. This is the bookshelf that is, like both shelves in the living room, conversation starters stuff, but this one right here, as opposed to the other one, which is all popular fiction, this is more literary fiction, and my favorites is what this is really. So I have let's get into it. This is Bornstein's. I have a great edition of The Discoverers. This is replete with illustration and just so much information, historical, information of tales of discovery and humans and how we've moved through history. So that sits out here, and then I have something super special. I don't know if people have a lot of experience with this. This is the Codex Serafinianus. Luigi Serafini is an architect by trade, but he's an artist and he's done amazing works. Now this book is like an encyclopedia of another world, and you'll see all kinds of stuff. This is pen and colored pencil drawings, and you see the writing is just nonsense. It's not even a script. It's his own script. So there's no words to speak of here. This is just a thought experiment, an art experiment to he said, I believe that he wanted to create something that would remind an adult what it would be like, would take them back to when they were a kid and they, pick up the encyclopedia and you can't read and you don't know what all these animals are and you're like 4 years old, 3 years old, and you just pick it up and there's all this animals and architecture and food and people and you can't read any words, but so you just look at the pictures, and this is super interesting, a whole lot of fun to just sit and thumb through and go through and let your mind go, and just decide. You got skeletons being skinned, and I don't mean the skin being taken off, I mean the skin being put on, and then you got some figures down there, looking at themselves, previous skeletons, now they're skinned. So, just some crazy stuff, but very few human beings in this book. Very strange stuff throughout. So, holler at me if you're interested. We'll go through it even more. I'll show you even more of the pictures of that. This is a book for Michael Ende's Momo. A movie was made of that book. The book is great. The movie not so great. But I actually have in here a signed headshot of Michael Ende. I love Michael Ende. You'll know him from The Never-Ending Story. He wrote The Never-Ending Story. My copy of Momo, my daughter still has. She hasn't finished it. She's just working her way through it slowly. I have Night of Wishes by Michael Ende over here. And then Momo will sit, right over there. So then I have my Charles Williams. Charles Williams is one of my favorite, authors ever. All Hallows Eve, Shadows of Ecstasy, Many Dimensions, Place of the Lion, Descent into Hell. And I have The Greater Trumps. It's being loaned out to a friend. And I don't own what might be my favorite work by him is War in Heaven. It's an amazing work. So please, just pick that up whenever. One of the best companions to Charles Williams is Thomas Howard's the novels of Charles Williams. This goes through each novel in its turn and just gives you some of the background. For Place of the Lion, he uses a lot of Platonic archetype ideas, Platonic animal archetypes. And some of his work can be a little tough to just take on the surface of it and really understand what he's getting at. So it's a helpful work to get into it. But any real reader, any real readers are gonna be able to work into it just fine. And a lot of things you don't need anything else. War in Heaven is just an amazing work. Go ahead and read it. Just take it as it is. Religious dimensions in literature. This has found its way here because it has some work on Charles Williams here. So these are essays on different works. Essays on C.S. Lewis, T.S. Eliot, Albert Camus, Charles Williams, and Walker Percy. So that has made its way here. I have my Italo Calvino. This is Numbers in the Dark. I have a collection that has the Non-Existent Knight and the Cloven Viscount in one edition there. And I have Baron in the Trees right there on top. And If on a Winter's Night a Traveler right there. And then we have 6 Memos for the Next Millennium. This is his work that he was actually prepared as lectures and was in the middle of giving those lectures when he died. So we have my Charles Williams, and I still don't have all of Charles Williams. There's Charles Williams is a recent find for me as far as an amazing author. So then on the bottom here I have Olaf Stapledon. I have Odd John and Sirius in one collection. I have Star Maker, the scholarly edition with a lot of annotations and footnotes to that work. Star Maker is epically awesome. Read it. And then an Olaf Stapledon Reader. Now this is just a collection of a lot of his smaller works. He wrote a lot of short stories and things like that, and they are mind-blowing. He was a master at sci-fi and philosophical sci-fi, which is my favorite kind of sci-fi. On the side here I have two volumes of a book that's really special to me. I read it a long time ago when I was a lot younger. Shogun by James Clavell. It is epic. It is awesome. The end is super satisfying. It's just a great work. And it's a meeting of different cultures, a European ship is trying to make it around the world, and they make it over around the bottom of South America, and they're in the Pacific Ocean just going where they know not, and they end up shipwrecking on the shore of Japan. And when they do, they meet a culture that they've never met before, and they have never met them. It's the first time that these cultures have experience with each other. It's an amazing work. I have a copy of The Last Temptation of Christ right there. Kazakhstan, I can't pronounce it. You know what I mean? I assume that I'm like a lot of readers. Maybe a lot of readers aren't like this. But when I come upon people's names when I'm reading just to myself, I kind of just pronounce them how I feel like. You know what I mean? And I just move on. And that person will be that from then on. And if I hear later, the name, how to pronounce it or something like that, then I'll augment, allow it to augment my thoughts and stuff like that. But especially characters in books, I just kind of, name them myself, to just move on and go. I'm not a stickler about that kind of stuff. Jose Saramago. I love Jose Saramago. Not as much as other stuff on here. Saramago is one of those authors that I have a weird relationship with Saramago. I have the Gospel According to Jesus Christ, Death with Interruptions, The Stone Raft, and Blindness. And so there's that. I enjoy Saramago. I do recommend that you read his stuff, but if you don't like Saramago, I understand. Not a big deal. To me, it's just it's weird. Maybe if you're interested, we'll go into that a little bit more. Here I have some experimental fiction. This is Mark Danielewski. I have the 50-Year Sword. And it's an alright work. It's predictable, so I didn't really enjoy it because of its predictable quality. House of Leaves, full color, in all its insane glory. House of Leaves, I love it. A book that really, one of the first books that really terrified me when I was younger, and just got me. Only Revolutions. The experimental work that is from the same story from two different perspectives, an immortal 16-year-old boy and an immortal 16-year-old girl, and you get the story at the same time from both of their perspectives. It's really, really an awesome work. The Whalestow Letters. This is a collection of letters between Johnny Turrent and his mother. Johnny Turrent is a main character from House of Leaves. So that's kind of a companion to House of Leaves. There's a lot of code in there. There's a lot of weird stuff in there. I love it. And then his current work is on The Familiar. Now he has a lot of volumes of this out. I just got the first one. I haven't started it. I haven't got into it. I just got the fourth one here. I'm sorry to say, just because I had found it for really, really cheap. But I haven't read any of The Familiar. I haven't heard anybody talking about it, but I'm interested. His work is not for everybody, but it's for me. So I have a collection of Nabakov. This is selected letters from 1940 to 1977. I have his amazing autobiography, Speak Memory. Oh my God! Just if you want the best in autobiographical writing that you are going to come across, Speak Memory, baby. Nabokov was a master. Now I have the stories of Vladimir Nabokov. This is a collection of short stories. I don't think that it's all of his short stories, but it is a large bit of his short stories. And I have a first edition hardcover of Ada. I actually have Pale Fire up here. This is probably my favorite. This is an old, all the cover is ripped off except for this little bit. But this is Pale Fire. This is an amazing work. I'm on the hunt for a hardcover, edition of Pale Fire just to have it to keep it. But until I get it, I will keep that one there to never forget that book is needing to be bought. Here I have David Foster Wallace, Something Supposedly Fun That I'll Never Do Again. That is a collection of nonfiction essays from David Foster Wallace. I have This Is Water. This is a talk that he gave to the Kenyon University graduating class. This is an amazing work. His speech there is just an amazing thing. And you can find it on YouTube. Just search up This Is Water, David Foster Wallace. It's about 22 minutes, 25 minutes at the max. And it is well worth the listen. I have listened to it over and over. It's something that it just gives you a good perspective for your daily life. I'm going to switch over here and just touch the rest of the Foster Wallace that I got. Both Flesh and Knot and Broom of the System. And then we have James Joyce, Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. I have James Joyce Ulysses up here on top. We have A Skeleton Key to Finnegan's Wake. This is a book unlocking James Joyce's masterwork, Finnegan's Wake. Now, masterwork, you could use that. You could use that term loosely. I don't know if it's a masterwork. Ulysses is definitely a masterwork, but Finnegan's Wake is just like a completely inaccessible work. So, Joseph Campbell and Henry Morton Robinson, A Skeleton Key to Finnegan's Wake. Try it out. I have a few books I'm trying to work into Finnegan's Wake. Scandal of Ulysses. James Joyce Dubliners, and then I have a paperback reading copy of Finnegan's Wake that I've just barely, touched on. And, I may at some point. It's just something that is very, very tough, inaccessible almost. Aldous Huxley, I have Eyeless in Gaza, A Brave New World, and The Doors of Perception with Heaven and Hell. Now, this is just a couple of essays that he wrote, in his life, The Doors of Perception. We can get to some Aldous Huxley if you like. I love him. And then I have Dave Eggers' A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius as a postmodern, a masterpiece. It'll break your heart, especially if you love your mama. So hope you enjoyed this bookshelf, guys. This is one of my favorite bookshelves in the house, and it's one of those things that is just out here to share with people so everybody can see, some of the stuff I got, conversation starters. We can talk about. We can see what maybe just turn some people onto some good books. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to give you guys a look at the whole shelf before the video's over, and then I'll just end by saying happy reading, guys. Thanks for joining, and catch you on the next one. Bye.